Because in realize how much just I realized well, like nearly £500,000. So I've got to get that sorted, obviously, in terms of how much I need to set aside for tax and stuff. Gonna let my accountant handle all of that. Yeah, of course, bro. If you're ever in the Midlands in Derby, just send me a message, bro. Yeah. But yeah, bro, all's going well. But I don't wanna just like since I'm heavy in cash right now, if there is a play to be had, I don't want to miss it, which is why I wanted to do a market open stream today. Because there is a lot of plays that still look like very, very good. If I share my screen, I'm gonna be eating. I'm gonna be eating as I talk, so if you guys hear any clanking in the background, just let me know. But yeah, there's a lot of stocks that have got nice SFPs on them after the recent downturn, and I think opens everything's going to be gapping up. You can just tell by pre-market, right? Everything's up like 5% across the board. So if I just spacebar CLSK, INFQ up 6% from being 4% down. And obviously, like Trump invested, what was it, like a billion or something? Something like that, a billion or two into like the quantum sector. I think Inflection got 200. I think IONQ, I think that's another one that got a bit. Rigetti, that's another one, right? So all of these have got bursaries from the US government now. But that doesn't necessarily mean the price has to pump. So, obviously, I'm going to take a play in the middle of nowhere just of news. You guys know me better than that. Never, right? I don't care if I could miss it. I'm only going to take it when my risk is appropriately managed. If there is no risk management I can see, then I just will not enter a trade. I'll just stay in cash. That served me very, very well throughout the decade I've been trading. But yeah, everything like pre-mark. I mean, Nokia not that bad, but again, just not an area I would enter. Right, that candle itself is good, but now if you have candles like this, how can you strategize? Right. Well, one thing you can do is actually look at the like X-ray the candle itself. Right. So for example, if you look at Nokia, you can see massive like 54 million with 7 million being in aggressive sells, and yet like there is a big SFP, but obviously if I'm below the point of control, I'm just not interested. Right. So what would make me interested then? What would look back at the Nokia chart? We know where our yearly levels are, right? There's 1433, there's 1409. That's our next cluster where we're interested. So if we drop there on the daily and you see, or even on the hourly, right, when we open and we see like a hold, that gap get filled, you have a very easy scalp to swing opportunity to the upside, and that's the market open. If it doesn't hold, we just wait until like more key levels get hit, maybe some more like yearly, in this case weekly point of controls get retested. There's a cluster right over here, right? As long as we're below that, there's this cluster that might get retested here between 1392 to about, let's say, 1372. So you just look for key areas like that, and then you just wait till you have something actionable. This isn't actionable, right? Having a gap fill here with a very clear area of where you could enter and being invalidated, that is actionable. So that is what you would wait for. Whether you wait for that flip up there or you get to wait for the revisit back over here, so on and so forth, right? There we go. The alerts are going to start pinging now. JD, what a piece of shit. Doesn't look like the chart itself. Obviously, we know we've talked about how good it looked in terms of like, M shapes. But this is what I always say, just M shapes isn't enough. You need structure on your side. Structure just hasn't been on our side yet, right? There's nothing here indicating accumulation. But now I'm not going to write it off completely because you're at the lows. Again, the last level high, the left low low, if you look at this on a weekly basis, has been taken out, right? Both of them. High, this could be the high low we're waiting for. So JD from this point on could turn into a good play. But again, I'm not interested until we get above the 886 now, right? You want very clear levels that you can manage your risk around. For me, it's very simple. It's the 886, right? And you could extend this down further and say there's a 2.24 as well. So there was this 886 which never got hit, technically speaking. But what we do have here is, if I take a look, we have this 2.24, right? So do this, do this. There we go. Just give me a moment. So I write that down, 2789. Uh, This is the bat 2.24. There we go. So, as long if you can flip this area into support, banger, right? Get off, I don't know what the brush is, bro. As long as we're above this, you'd 100% be trying for the 382, right? But we just need this area to be clearly support. You've bounced off the 2.24, but the 886 is still resistance. So I just wait for that 886 to get that lower time frame flip with the 886, right? Easy. But JD, like everything looks good, right? This is not a place where you'd be fading. This is not a place where you'd be like, oh, I'm gonna short everything. Baba, even off the back of that, the Trump sort of news where they were like they labeled this as what like anti-American, like helping the Chinese military complex or something, right? The structure of the chart's still there. Do you know what I mean? It's still making high highs and higher lows. So once again, you would simply be looking for opportunity. Okay, and let me see, what would we look at on Baba? So the first one is this, probably a bat of sorts, right? There. So there's a very clear 886 here, right? And obviously we have this here too, which would be the next leg, which hasn't hit the thingy yet, the 886. And if we were to go off this leg, the 86 is slightly lower. That'd be right over there, basically, right? So now we have this PRZ literally here, where we add the completion within an uptrend of bullish bats, right? If this area holds, you just wouldn't be looking for lower on Baba. Like you add the range highs, like these range highs that was once resistance, right? If you can flip this into support, if you can hold this PRZ, you'd be looking for higher on Baba. You'd be looking for that trend continuation, right? Again, not an area, but you'd fade. Right, so Baba's one I would definitely keep on my radar just for a continuation play, if anything. Literally just a continuation play. Because if this doesn't hold, then you can just look for lower levels because this has been breached. You can look for example, a visit back to the range mid or something like this, right? If this doesn't hold, just look for that visit to the range mid. But if this holds, then, you're looking for the eventual reclaim of the range high, send it up. Like, there's loads of plays still. Oklo, right? Still in this in spot. Oklo looks so good. There's your 886. In case you're wondering where I pinged that from, it's that low right over there where the vertical accumulation started. 886, there's a bat 2.618, 886. And in case we do go a bit lower, there's that 886 there as well, right? There's a butterfly completion here. You're broken out of your trend line in both log and linear, right? So the last lower high, that left a lower low, taken out, higher low put in. So for all we know, this could be it for Oklo, right? Like it's ready to send. So I'm in this in spot. Because the risk management here is the same area we were looking at originally. The risk management is very, very easy. It's like you got the PRZ. If it's lost, just cut it. But as long as this area is holding, you would be in a play, right? So not a surprise everything's bouncing today. Like inflection up 11% at open. This thing's just crazy. If there's one stock you want to scalp, right? I would, I would highly consider inflection, honestly speaking, because this thing just moves crazy and it respects levels really, really well. Right, let's look at SMCI. Super interested on this one because if you look at the linear chart, is you've had your breakout, you've had a retest to this. There's a lot of lines, but it's because there's so many yearlies on this one, right? This thing is old. There's a lot of yearlies here, but you've had a retest to what was once that zone of resistance. You can see, like, you distributed in this area. You could think of it as a supply zone. You're back, and now if buyers can flip this into support, if you can reclaim the mid, again, look for continuation to the upside, not to the downside. Right? We caught a 42% move on this originally upon the breakout. So if this is the proper retest of that breakout on SMCI, I would look for higher. Right? I look for a proper breakout eventually. BlackBerry, obviously above $9.35. Super easy to manage risk. Like that is your line in the sand, $9.35. And right now you've created a gap, but like in moments like this, if you wanted to take a play, it would be as simple as if you enter here, right? If you start losing 935, let's say the gap fill failed, anything like this, like you would just exit. There's nothing wrong with trying to do a play like this, right? Because your risk is so tight, firstly, your risk is tight. Secondly, you don't have to go fully position size because this thing's already made a move off the lows, right? So you can go reduce size, tight risk, like it's like, that's how you take little nibbles at on optimal areas, right? go for the gap fill, go for a bit higher, just catch a quick like an 11% move or something. Should we get it? And then just call it a day, right? Yeah, BlackBerry. But what I'm interested in is do these pre-market pumps hold? Do we get follow through, or do we actually spend majority of today's session retracing this pre-market pump that we've had, right? That's what I really want to see. Here on insane movement, absolutely ridiculous. This thing looks ready to carry on to the upside. Above your yearly, there's a yearly fair value gap trying to reclaim the $8.02 mark, which is the mid of that yearly, right? Not only that, but check it out. That yearly mid has been retested also on Hill. Beautiful. This thing looks ready for $9.50 and above. As long as you can stay above $8.02, $9.50 and above on Hill very, very easily. If you wanted to chase this one, it's very simple. As long as you're above $8.02, you can be in a position. But should you start seeing weakness, any signs that $8.02 is not being held, you just cut it. And that's it. You just cut it. Like you don't get above this, it's what it is, right? The tight risk is the price you pay for an unoptimal entry. You don't hold it, you're not in this, right? Because then you risk this. You're like, oh, it could go back up, and next thing you know, you've gone to. I would love to see a rate of this before we go higher, right? There you go, another high, maybe bearish divergence. Rate that low, feel some of the bearish, feel some of that fair value gap maybe, and then send it, right? I'd love to see it. So if you get a situation like that, you're going to be very, very sad that you bought here. You're going to be forced to sell at an unoptimal area because emotionally speaking, 33% to the downside. And if you're getting momentum to the downside of the lows as well, it's going to be very, very hard to not close it at a loss, right? And then just for it to like recoup in the future, like you're going to be kicking yourself. So yeah, if you're below $2, like you are right now, you just wouldn't be in this position. You'd cut. If you'd entered that when we were talking, you would just cut straight away, right? That's why when I share my plays with you guys and when I share screenshots of the plays I took, for example, on the stocks chat, right? When I shared my CFD account, you see so many like negatives, right? Minus 282, minus 1,000 something. There's a lot of those reds, but that's because that's the name of the game, right? The wins I have are plus like 112,000, plus 60,000, plus 50,000. The losses I take are minus 500, minus 1,000, right? At a max, like minus 5,000. So even if you take more losses than wins, you're still profitable. That's the key thing. That's because you're executing at optimal areas, right? I don't want you to hold at unoptimal areas, right? That's what it is when you're trying to trade. Like it can get very hard. Yes, you're gonna have to be very active, but I'd much rather you do that and maintain the value of your portfolio than just get nuked to the ground trying to hold something, right? Just no, if this is looking like this, just you would just get the hell out. You'd already be out, and you'd be like, yeah, fine, whatever. I'll just try again. Should we reclaim, right? You could try for a short if you think this is an SFP, or you try now more optimal areas, which is when you get the eventual rate to the downside. As long as you're below this is the area you're interested in. Simple as. Anything in between, noise. So there's gonna be many things that look like this. H-lit, take a look. Came all the way back down to range mid. Oh wait, no, I'm looking at the monthly. It didn't come to the range mid, it just came down over here. But I still really like the look of this thing, guys. Like, remember, this is a decade-long consolidation here. 26, 2 decades, 26-year-long consolidation. ABC is still valid as a wave structure, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, nano nuclear energy. I think I think energy is going to be a big sector. I think nuclear energy is going to be a big sector. I think semiconductors still have some room left to run, like I've always said, right? But I think that's getting into very, very like blow off territory now. So I think next is like again, like we've been talking about, right? Data centers, like AI, like robotics, AI, like photonics, like that's things like XT, right? Photonics, your fiber optic cable, so on and so forth. And energy, electricity generation. I think that's one of the most overlooked aspects because people are focusing on all these buzzwords, but they're not thinking, okay, what makes this entire industry run? It's simple. It's power. It's electricity, right? Where do we get that from? Well, obviously fossil fuels, but I think as we progress as a society, we're going to be looking at more and more renewable resources like nuclear fusion, right? Obviously, there's nuclear fission, but I don't know if any of you. Obviously, I'm a physics nerd. That's my whole degree's in, right? My whole academics is from the physics side. Fusion is no longer just a sci-fi concept, right? We have managed to achieve fusion. We just haven't managed to achieve it yet to a effective enough scale where we're getting more power out than we put in. But we're very close to it, right? We're very close to it. And once we do that, that will absolutely sweep, right? Because if we have nuclear fusion, that is clean fusion of particles to generate a lot of electricity. There's no, nuclear waste you need to worry about, because just a quick lesson for you, but basically with nuclear fission, what you're doing is you're taking a heavy particle, right, that is unstable. You're firing some nucleuses at it, right, and then that's knocking off nucleus, that's knocking off electrons. The actual particle itself, right, it gets unstable, and then it fissures, right. It let's say fractures into different particles, and that releases a lot of energy in the process. But in this process, what you're left with is waste, because you're going into more and more unstable particles. That's where radioactivity comes from, right? But with fusion, what you're doing is you're taking particles, you're smashing them together into heavier and heavier particles, right? You don't have that nuclear waste to worry about, because you're getting into more and more stable particles instead of more and more unstable particles. Again, another quick quiz for you, another quick fun fact, but the most stable particle we have right now is iron. Which is why, if you're talking nuclear fusion, you're literally talking the sun, right? And all our stars, they're not fission, they're fusion reactors, right? Which is why they're so stable. You have, helium, you have all of these other lighter elements, and they fuse together until they turn into iron, because iron is, I believe, the most stable particle there is, right? In that sense, when it gets to fusion. After that, it doesn't really make sense from like a mathematical, from an energy perspective, to keep smashing things together, right? It becomes really stable, energy neutral at that point. So, nuclear fusion, I think nuclear is going to be a very, very big thing. I know that's always been obviously nuclear has always been something, but like nuclear fusion, especially once we get it, I think nuclear power is going to get a massive boost as a whole. So you things like nano-nuclear energy, anything with nuclear in it, right? You can look at a nuclear focused ETF. Um, I think it's worth consideration for your portfolio, right? Sorry, I went on a bit of a ramble there, but um, that's why NNE I like, right? I believe Oklo's power generation as well. Um, And there's loads, right? I'm sure there'll be more companies popping up, especially once Fusion is actually realized. There's gonna be loads of names that haven't even popped up yet, like popping up in the future. So, power generation, these are the next plays, I think, right? If you're gonna be focusing on like a rotation. And because like, SMR, there's another one here, right? Electrical products, this one, NuScale Power Corporation, all are very actionable areas, right? It's just range bound, add the DeepCraft 3.0 in this case. There's gonna be yearly levels here. Look where you are. Like, it's just easy to manage risk here. You just wouldn't be fading these things down at these lows. ServiceNow, again, yes, that's nasty dump, but it's expected. We hit T1, right? Not exactly the 382 of the bigger wave structure, which was the Gartley, but we hit T1. But don't get it twisted. Remember, the last lower high that led to the lower low has been taken out. And for all we know, this could be the higher low in the making. So as long as, like, you get opportunities to execute for further upside, you will take it on things like now, right? Well, if you execute here, your invalidation is simple. You lose this, right? You're out, right? But as long as you're above this, your next move could be the T2, right? Higher. So it's not like there's no opportunities here, guys. The same stocks we've been looking at, many of them are still actionable. Q, if you get above the 886, I'm back in, right? Like, very simple. I just don't want to be in this if we're getting below the 886, because I know we could get all the way down to that sharp, right? The 1.13, rate the entire low. I wouldn't want to be holding from here if there's a possibility of that. And there is a possibility of that below the 886. But above the 886, that's going to be a strong support, right? So I want to execute around the 886. AVEX, fresh lows, so I hope we can get this thing to continue to the downside, form some base. Aerospace and defense, always going to be something I'm going to have in my port, right? DLX, still holding that. On the retest territory right now, we're trying to retest these range highs. I'm in this in spots as well. If this retest is successful, we go higher. If it fails, we go to range mid. Simple as that. Rivian. That weekly candle is nice. Let's look a bit deeper at Rivian. One sec. I mean, that last weekly candle was very nice. I would, if you get a retest of that weekly point of control on Rivian, I think I'd try to take a play for like a scalp, right? For like a scalp to swing. Obviously, I already have a longer term Rivian on the port, but like for like a scalp to swing aggressive play on the CFD, I'll try to take it. Because the thing is, all this time we've been just getting whacked down by this supply here, right? Majority of the time it's been this supply, but now we're actually looking to build within it. If we can flip it, then we go for that $22 again, and hopefully this time we go for that $32 target we've been eyeing all the way up over here. Because if this fails again, I just don't see this holding. So one second.
Did you have the practical video? Hello? Are you there? Hello? 1 second. I'm just getting my. Yeah, 1 second. Okay, yeah, no.
Sorry, that was just business. Um, but this right here, because if we get one more drop on Rivian, are they gonna hold it again? Do you know what I mean? But these yearly point of controls have literally been saving our asses all this time. Like you don't have to look further. Literally, 2026 currently a point of control, right? 2023 12-month point of control, 2025 12-month point of control. We literally SAP'd that. So yeah, Rivian, honestly, it looks better and better every day. Rivian looks good. Um, it's just a matter of like, is it gonna go? Because it always just like, teases it, never does anything. But that's the market, right? It's like the patient is rewarded. Like it's gonna test you so hard. It's the people that can actually stick through that that's going to get rewarded. So one sec, let me go back to Rivian here because this is looking like a proper squeeze. I can't lie. This looks good. Above the weekly 50, above the weekly 200 now as well. If the 50 crosses the 200, this will be a proper squeeze. This looks good for now. I think the dailies, yeah, the daily you're above everything. Yeah, I mean, Rivian this is the reason we've been talking about it all this time, right? It looks good. It'd be extremely diabolical if they took all of these out now. I can imagine from 2024 building all these structures to stop everyone out and then reclaim in the future. If they did that, I would honestly laugh. That would be so funny. Just pure shenanigans from the market maker, right? Just yeah, nuke everyone's bags, get it all these like bags filled from spot, and then just send it. APTV, another one. As long as you're above 6604, actionable to the upside, right? We entered this down over here. Um, I closed it up over here because we rated these highs over here, right? So as long as you're above 66 now, again, you would just be in this up until like 83, 85. If it got below 66, you just cut it, right? There was one, albeit there's yeah, I mean, it's M shape, body below T1. B-Van, nice move back to the upside. There. It looked like we're breaking out. Yeah, we got the retest on log, right, for B-Van. There you go. That was the log retest. We didn't quite get that flip, but it was a log retest. Maybe we get one more drive down before higher. But if you can flip this range mid here on B-Van, then the obvious target is all the way up towards this. And even from where we currently are, on B-Van, that is going to be at an extreme, a 222% move, right? Let's say you were to rate this. Let's say you were to just go for the mid, 153%. I just like that accumulation structure. Like you have that smiley face. Going sideways around the yearly, right? You've been holding that. So B-Van, still worth putting in your watch list. CoreWeave is also breaking out on log. Constantly closing above the supply line. I really, really hope, like honestly, I hope we get this Carly on CoreWeave. Like one pullback between the 786 to the 886, right? Um, and then if it wants to absolutely send it from there. But send without some sort of M shape always irks me. So maybe I hope for one more flush. I don't know if we get it, but that's just me laughing, right? CRBS. M shape potential. One sec. Is that a shark? Ah, no, it's not. It's terrible. That's what it is. But this could be a. Let me just make sure that I've done this the right way. Let's see. What came first, the high or the low? Ah, okay, no, I've messed that up. Okay, there's the low. There's the high. 295. That's way too shallow. I mean, yes, it's 786, but that is, just understand, that is way too shallow. So I wouldn't really class this as a godly. It's an unofficial, disfigured godly, right? That is way, way too shallow. Um, so yeah, nothing constructive there. Let's keep spacebar. Merlin, this is one I was looking at. Again, look where it is. There's the original wave structure completion. There is the type 1. There, move to the type 1, right? Move to the type 1. There's your type 2 return. So this is what I was looking at this morning. Like easy play here. Especially like, obviously now that you're at the bat, you would manage your risk around the bat instead, right? So if you start building above this bat, you would just put your stop loss like somewhere relative to like, the wick low, the liquidity raise of this PRZ, right? Maybe something like this, for example. Let's say like, wick down there, you reclaim, like you put it below the wick, and then hopefully you send it to T2. A Merlin one, very, very actionable. Like look where it is. There's so many that are good after this flush. And that's what I mean. This is why I was saying, like, don't be scared of pullbacks in an uptrend, right? You can see everything just looks better now, right? In terms of structure, in terms of where you are, in terms of like how actionable it is, like things just look good. Okay, let's see if this consolidation holds or if we drop on SoFi. Like I'm being greedy probably, but I really want that 886, right? That'd be a beautiful bat on SoFi. But at the end of the day, if the supply line doesn't give out, then I might not get that bat. So like if you keep holding these yearlies, I might just have to execute off that like a tight risk, right? Hive didn't even drop below the liquidity rate of the golden pocket, shallow golden pocket in this case, T1. Lemonade. I'm glad I closed that short. That would just not have let me sleep, honestly. Wrecker. I hope this holds. If it doesn't, Wrecker looks absolutely cooked. But yeah, we'll see. Red wire, nice pullback. Where is it currently? Building any structure we like? Not yet, right? The only actionable play I can see at this point would be like, I don't even like that because, yeah, I don't really like it. You'd have to flip some of these jellies back into support for me to re-enter a red wire. Re-enter red wire, sorry, not enter. Snap, let's take a look. Finally breaking within the 0.05, okay, of your downtrend, right? From the high to the low. Snap has a lot of work to do if he wants to ever get back in the limelight again. But I think at some point it might pull something like a BlackBerry. It's just too early to tell right now. But hey, it's like, look where we are again. It's like, if you want to fire off scalp to swings, like it would do so. You're not going to get a better place to do that than here. If you want to fire off some scalp to swings. Like right now, 551 is your line in the sand. If you start flipping 551 into support, you would just fire off that scalp to swing, right? To like $6/10. Take some profits there and then like, put stop loss break even because you might revisit these lows. If you flip, you might send higher towards $8. So, but if you're going to manage that risk, it's going to be around here. Well, obviously the mid, the high, and the low are the three areas, right? Biohaven, this was a medical stock I gave you guys, right? We just what I saw was that deep godly 886 to 1.618, and then another M shape, and then another M shape now, right? At the point of breakout in terms of this supply line. So if you break above this, this could easily send to 18, 24, so on and so forth. If it doesn't break out, then I would not oppose one more revisit back down towards $9 to take out all of these, and then send it from there. Something like this, for example, from this high to this low here to this high, right? There's your 618. Like maybe like a 786 or 886, right? Or even like a 618, who cares? Just give a golden pocket retrace, right? And then after that, you can send it for like either a Gartley or a crab. That's what you'd be after. Because we can see that 618 is clearly being respected, right? So I'll pin it to the 18. Yeah. Like a golden pocket retracement here, maybe, or a 0.5 even. This is just an idea for now, right? I might just send from here. Because obviously, until the D point hits, this is all just shapes on a screen. But yeah, something like this I would absolutely love if it came to play. One more flush out for the late longers here. Late longers in terms of like, people who entered after the liquidation event's over. And then after that send it. But yeah, we'll see. DXYZ very, very close to a shark. Yeah, 1.618. Well, it's to be expected, right? This because now what's the case? Well, the IPO is done for SpaceX. This is why you buy the rumor, sell the news, right? I believe now looking at this, the rest of my positions probably been stop loss to break even. Or stop loss slightly in profits rather, sorry. I mean, it's still within trend, technically speaking. Locally, that's still within everything. So if you want to action it, it's going to be at this low. But otherwise, yeah. Buy the rumor, sell. Always just look at the charts. Don't fall for headlines. Don't fall for this person said this, that. The chart's going to tell you everything. I simply gave you guys the entry and got a few of you in uh, when the charts look good, not before any like, news came out or anything like that, right? I simply looked at, okay, what's could be a narrative in the future? Okay, there's SpaceX, there's Discord, there's Stripe, there's Anthropic. Like this covers all of them, right? DXYZ. And obviously, like in preparation for that, before anyone's even talking about the SpaceX IPO, before it's blowing up, before it's all on socials, before companies are offering it to the public, we got in, right? Because the structure was already telling us this looks good. That's why you listen to the charts, not, you know, recent high. Laura Holdings rocketing today. Damn, looks nice. Pop up. This was off the Gartley too. This looks beautiful, right? I think this is gonna go to a shock for now. Like a bearish shock. Something like this. Like need a 1.618 minimum. So yeah, 1.13, 1.618, somewhere up there. Clear those highs, maybe come back down for a smiley around 65, send it. Who knows, right? Something like that. Maybe. Yeah, like a bearish shock. Bullish 5-0. Send. Could be, right? So I'll look to this would be my next entry trigger for Law Holdings. The first one was obviously the Gartley. Mosaic. I was looking at this one. Old company, lots of data. Would love the 886. Don't know if we'll get it because if you look at where we are on the yearly, if I can draw 2 yearly ranges, like we're holding it, right? We're holding the yearly ranges. That weekly is nice. If we were to look at that weekly here on MOS, where's it gone? One sec. There. We have all of this aggressive, actually aggressive buying being rewarded in this case, right? Not even aggressive selling, just straight aggressive buying being rewarded. Majority of the volume just came in over there. Sellers trapped. So we have trapped sellers, but obviously Monday range. Monday, don't trust anything Monday shows you. Start, right? We haven't had that pressure build up yet on the market. So I want to see if the pre-market prices get swept today or if we can get follow through and market by the time we close. But like you look at that, right? That looks good. Like if we were to look at Mosaic in again, if you look at it here, Mozzie, where is it? Where is it? It's here somewhere. There. So the daily, you're trying to stay above the 50. Weekly, actually, a weekly below everything though. I think it's probably even on the hourly, it's not exactly like it's strong. Yeah, no, I think this has a bit more time left in the oven. It's not ready yet. T1 Energies. Did we get the gap fill? I'm guessing not. No, they front run the gap fill. Like it's what it is. SMTC, Semtech. Yeah, there's just nothing actionable about this. Skip. APA. This one I love. If you want a long-term position, look no further. If you want something to do with integrated oil in your portfolio. But this thing it's not even gave us the proper type 1 yet, obviously, but it gave us that pullback there. It was nice enough to do that for us. Would I buy here? No. In the middle of nowhere. But now if you wanted to sort of really manage this on the lower time frame, you would do it as such. There is a range. If you can visit the range low, it's worth a shot. If that range low is lost, well, you're pretty much going to get this at 886 again anyway, in my opinion, right? So you either execute there or at the 886. Like in between, there's not much, right? Pega, let's take a look. You know, nothing much. Get above the 886, so there's nothing. Groupon. We get that flip. I mean, we sort of are right now, right? Very crude drawing, but if I just pop that up there. Yeah, I mean, either the range mid or wait for the range highs to get flipped on this one. Like right over there. Right now, you're sort of in, if I create a group of drawings, yeah. Well, yeah, you give S&P the range highs for now, right? So you'd wait to get above that. Or, see what happens with the range mid. ACN, one we looked at, Information Technology Services. 886, still at the area. Still at a very actionable area, in fact. As long as you're above the 886, one can try and enter a play on this, right? It's as simple as saying, okay, as long as you're above this, if you want to keep it tight, this is it. If you get stopped high, you get stopped high for 2.5%. You don't have to go all in. You just put in a size you're happy with, you're comfortable with, and you just let the, market either do it or, take you for a 2% loss. Like, it's whatever. But if you're going to execute it, it'd be something like this. At the, completion point, a big M shape here. Because if the 86 doesn't hold, eventually I would want that 3.618, right? So there's no point holding below it. Hubs, very close to the deep crab. Just give it to me, please. Like, what is this all about? Give me this area here. And I'd be very interested in hubs. Obviously, I'm interested in here just in terms of where we are on the macro, but not this ain't actionable. That is actionable. This isn't, right? Still Agfa trying to break back into range lows. 2022 low is right there. A bit more structure needed. This is Tempest AI. I still like it. It's compressing. It's compressing. It's at the precipice of a breakout. On linear, it's broken out already technically, right? Just not got follow through. On log, it's very close to a breakout. It's at an 886. So 2 886s in fact. Yeah, I think this is close. Like, if this is gonna break out, it's gotta be now. Otherwise, you just risk absolutely failing and falling back down to like the X point basically. So yeah, you need this to break out now. Cloudflare. Ooh, range lows held, right? So again, actionable, very much so. Just put your stop loss below there. And you're looking for range mid first, right? And if the range mid doesn't, if it doesn't flip, whatever, you just close it there. If you go, you can take some partial stake and fully close there, depending on how you enter, what's your plan. And if the range mid is successful in holding, then once again, you will go to range highs now that the lows have been taken. That's what I was saying in stocks chat, right? I would love for those lows to be taken. So the lows have now been taken. That is extremely actionable on CRM, which is Salesforce. Below all of these levels, obviously, so there's a bit of grind left to be done. But that's why, again, you don't have to enter fully. You can enter partial position, wait for the flip of that, all those areas to, like, put some size in, stop losses, your average is going to be in profit anyway, so put your stop loss to break even in profit. It's a risk-free size up. But you got to get that risk-free size up, you still got to have some position open now, right? But again, this is where you'd execute that. Because again, if this is lost, then you're going to get the deep value 886, and that'll be the next area where you try to manage a play. At 2024 low, I think it held Ascension. So again, if you want to try and take a play on this one, it's as simple as this. Like if you start losing that, you just don't want it, right? 1, 2 is the targets. There's a lot of mids here, in fact, that you can try and go to. Now that lows held, so the next area would be somewhere towards the mid, like a 38-40% bump. Sentinel-1, package software, probable play like that. This one, we want this hold to be successful on Comstock resources. Resistance, right? All of this. Mid got flipped, now the high's getting, if the high could get flipped here, that'd be well, that'd be gorgeous to say the least. And if it doesn't get flipped, then we know we've talked about the potential of a crab all the way down. This right here is a 786. There you go, right? If this holds, that's an M-shaped completion right into previous resistances. So this is the area you want defended, you want held. KLXC, again, still actionable in my opinion, right? This is now a very, it's going to be like even moves that don't look big on the price chart can be detrimental if you're not careful. So I'd be very, very careful. Look, it doesn't look that big, but it's 25%, okay? But the upside to that is obviously 588. If the range is truly hold, if that's the liquidity rate of that range low, if that, as long as this range low can hold, mid, and after mid, the high, right? If the mid is reclaimed by the buyers. This is Coupang. I forget why I looked at this. I think someone put it on my radar, or I was space barring. It's one or the other. South Korea. Yeah, range mid. If you wanted to play this, it would be this. I'd keep it tight because you're going straight into like a gap fill. And if, that gap fill might send you lower before higher. You never know. SpaceX. There we go. Let's see what it's doing. Big gap fill up today. We did complete a wave structure, but it is an extremely low time frame wave structure in the form of a bat, right? There you go. Like, if I just put the 0.5 here once for you. There, we did an 886. There you go. 86, 2.618 pretty much, right? 86, 2.618. So if I actually go ahead and mark that down, what's that, 5.4? So I just got to go 5.3, yeah? Yeah, perfect. Time and time and time and time and time again, we see this framework just playing out oh so beautifully. There. We have the bat. So for the extension target then, you just wouldn't be surprised if this now clearly gone above T1 and T2. Pull back to T2 perhaps, right, to flip it. The gap fill will give you the T1. 1.61 is going to give you $188. I don't care if it goes there, right? I'm not chasing this. I'm going to wait for the post-IPO digestion. And then I'm going to execute once I actually have something firmer than just a 5-minute harmonic. Okay. Honestly, I'm sorry if anyone's like super heavy left long. I hope BB does something that just ruins this between Iran and America. We just get further crashes. SanDisk, like I mentioned, nearly there again. Okay. Liquidity rate of range extreme. Let's see, 2,141.99. First target. If you get above that, don't do anything until you get to like 2,400 to 2,500. But I'm interested to see what kind of structure we build here on SanDisk. The monthly RSI on this is absolutely insane. Let me show you guys. I don't think there's been any stock in history, crypto, it doesn't matter what you look at, that has been this overbought. Yeah, hang on, where was it? Was it the monthly? Something was like, yeah, look at that. 94 point 95 point something a peak. Currently it's sat at 94 point. I don't have a single stock that looks like this on the RSI. Absolutely ludicrous. And just because you say it doesn't mean, oh yeah, we're overbought, we have to go down. You can stay overbought for a long time, right? And just in the same way, you can stay oversold for a long time. But obviously, like, nothing goes up forever, guys. Okay, nothing. Genuinely, you're gonna get corrections. Otherwise, the market just would cease to exist. Gonna get corrections. Liquidity's got to be taken. So genuinely, I'm interested to see where SanDisk shows, even if it's on the lower time frame, something that resembles like a top, right? And I mean structure-wise, somewhere where you can see aggressive bias just getting absolutely absorbed, right? And something on the lower time frame in moments like this is something that can turn into like a higher time frame. Because you're insane if you think I'm trying to swing short SanDisk, right? That's not going to happen. But if I see weakness at key areas, when everything's overbought, and I can execute on that with like a tight stop, right? I'm going to do it because, you might just catch that quick, like, unwinding sell-off at some point, right? And OSTX, one of my medical picks. I really like this one. Not just for like technical reasons, but fundamental as well. But I'm not going to get too deep into that here. But yeah, just keep an eye on this one. OSTX. STRC. It's here. SanDisk. OSTX is here. SanDisk. No, I'm looking at this. STRC. Held the mid. MSTR, yeah, nice bounce. We knew this was a good area for MSTR. We literally talked about this last stream. Approaching range lows and also at that Gartley area. Right, we had two Gartleys here. Take a look. That blue one and the yellow one, right? I do want MSTR lower. Like if you have to believe that the forever low isn't in on Bitcoin, and by that I mean like for this cycle, which for now there's still a bit more work to be done before I go around screaming about bottoms, right? Um, I would I would love it if MSTR came a bit lower, gave us the retest, right? That supply line, give us the 886, the deep Gartley territory. But again, just because I want it doesn't mean it needs to happen, so we'll see. Circle within the deep retracement, still refusing to let go of it, which is good. That strength coming in areas that needs to be. Coinbase, obviously, right? Just look where you were on Coinbase. So actionable here. On the higher time frame again, if that bad slash 2024 POC area, like this yearly level was lost, the area we were talking about on Coinbase was next, the 2024 low, followed by the macro 886, right? Bad, which is the macro harmonic target, the 78.59 area. But this is holding for now here. So it's like that is so actionable, right? It's like in areas like this, you take a play, and if it goes against you, you know when to exit because okay, well below this, just look, is the next area we pointed out, right? Absolutely beautiful Omar right here. 886, deep body 886, and just pinging off. You've hit the front run of the T1. I hope for a type 2 return, build some more structure, but Mara, I think this could be the start of something beautiful. Let's see. DXC Technologies. I don't remember what this was or what. What I remember is actionable. Yeah, definitely. Same thing with YEXT, right? Same story, nothing's changed. If that's if we can get a reclaim with this low and that's a sort of manipulation, then why not send it back higher? No retest yet on RXT. Nothing here on TGT. Getting the breakouts on WYY. All be looking at. So all this is just to quickly skim through and show you guys, like, obviously I've not gone deep into it, but that's because I've gone deep into all of these stocks, right? They're all in our private streams. All of these have been built out. This is just like a more of a, let's get our head on straight. Let's not get too excited, right? Understand anything can happen between now and the 19th when the official signing is meant to take place. I don't know. Is this it? Is the war finally over properly, or is there going to be some more shenanigans? Like, who knows, right? But whatever that's all about, it doesn't really matter. Like, what we care about is the charts, the charts, the charts. That's it. As we can see, after open, we're actually getting a bit of a pullback, which I like, right? Healthy, go fill some gaps, go do whatever, right? You're not going to get the entry of your life on a Monday. Majority of the time, you're just not going to get it on a Monday, so you don't have to stress out too much on a Monday, right? Just for scalps is fine. Normally, what I'm doing is Monday scalping. I'm not looking to like enter like massive swing positions out of nowhere. Unless there is something like pre-week that I've already determined, like going into this, I don't want to miss it, right? But yeah, Nokia Red, love to see it, right? If it comes here, it's actionable. So yeah, just keep an eye on things like this, right? Just understand there's still money to be made, but like I said, easy mode's over. Because again, if I quickly go back to this, remember what I'm saying. We are no longer in a constricting market where all the money's just in semiconductors. If you look at RSP versus, if you look at RSP versus SPX, or you look at even, SPX equal weighted versus SPX, we're a bit red today, meaning liquidity is once again flowing towards one sector. But typically when this is going up, that's literally telling you that, okay, the market is broadening, right? Easy mode is over. You can't just put your money into one sector and expect it to go up. Individual stock choices matter more when the market is broadening. So yeah, that's that. One thing now, before I, absolutely just hammer this is, if I go to crypto side of things, right? Tau, absolutely beautiful. I didn't give you many crypto plays, but the ones I did give are absolutely sticking. Tau, insane move, right? Bro, where is it? 1 second here. Yeah, no, there. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful move on Tau. This is why Gottlieb, 786, key inflection area high. Not a single candle body close below. This was a 1.414 of the butterfly as well. Remember, for most people, that's a stop loss. For us, that's just an extended entry, right? This was absolutely gorgeous. I entered this for my fund as well, so this just absolutely paid. But this was beautiful. And now approaching T2. HPR1 mid is there, right? As long as you're above the T1, T2 and HPR1 mid line up. I would love like I mentioned already, I would absolutely love for, this is why I still want to crash, right? I would love for this to have a type 2 return that nukes the original entries, that absolutely just nukes the hell out of the 786, right? I want this at like 173, 169. I want the deep Garley 1.618. I want the deep Garley 886. I want key inflection area mid, right, for a proper smiley opportunity. Rate all of these people. Don't give anyone a free ride, right? Stop all of these people out. And then from there, take it up. I would love that, right? But let's see if we get it or not. Because if the mid flips as well, then it's just I think this 786 that Ponzi pointed out pretty much gets hit. That one right there. I think that deep one pretty much gets hit. But I would love for that type to return with a flush, some bullish divergence on the daily, right? Stop out everybody here to the left, and then after that, like send it up here, and then nuke it down towards like double digits, hopefully. I don't know if we get that exactly, but I would love that. Yeah, but one thing I want to point out is obviously AKT, that's another thing I'm in as well. I closed the BTC short from 80 something K down at the 61K level. I've got a long that added to my 61K long, so currently average is around 62K, I think, for the long that I'm slowly building. But yeah, Toncoin, right? Composite 2025 12-month point of control that I put on for you guys held, right? Render, BAT 886 2.0, we're just below it. We want this to be support. A lot of yearly, so you know what? Let me get rid of the yearlies first. We're just looking in terms of wave structure. This is what I'm after in render. Either this is support or we get a one more revisit to this week, like deep crab basically that's hit on render, right? There's two. So as long as you're above this on render, you know, I'm looking for that play accordingly, right? But render, cash, right? TAO, all of these, like, you know, I think ton, obviously Bitcoin and ETH, like, these are going to be the main things I'll focus on going to next cycle. Apart from that, there's also like that's why I shared Grayscale's I said Grayscale's thing with you, right? So for example, AI, a robo, I really like the look of something like this, right? It's like I think it's most people are sleeping on it, but like there's structures on these, right? Grayscale coins. So I don't know what this is, but you know, it's holding at a 1.618. It's holding at uh a crab, right? So just something to keep an eye on, guys, right? It's like these could pop out of nowhere and just completely take people by surprise. So I'm just sharing them with you guys now. And you can just play them spot. You don't need to do anything crazy with it. Like, look at what this is. Flock USDT. Like, it goes so easy to manage here, right? Because you've got that yearly low. You just manage around that yearly low. Grass, not as easily managed here now. Now that flip's already happened. If you flip that, kite, yeah, give me structure. If I don't have structure, I don't care. Obviously, VVV's already sent. You've got a smiley face pretty much at the lows here. Yeah. But one thing I want to point out is if you go to Bitcoin, I'm going to do this here. Bitcoin is there is some bullish. I'm like I said, I'm not just someone who's overly bearish, overly bullish all the time, right? Yes, I want it lower, but I also have to give it to the bulls. Now, from a bull's perspective, what's nice about Bitcoin? Well, we've got an SFP. We've talked about this already, right? But we talked about how that's an SFP of 2026 low. In fact, if I go here, right, we literally talked about this in terms of the 6 months, right? We have that 6-month level that originally gave us that low right over here. 6-month buy seller zone mid, right? That gave us the low. And as long as that is support, we're fine, right? It doesn't matter if you look at a linear or log, it's like, you know, that's going to give you a point of contention for support. So that's good. That's once again held, right? We talked about that bullish perspective already. The other one we talked about now was last stream. I told you guys, okay, the volume levels have changed. So, you know, there's your weekly standard deviation 1 very low. There's your daily 1 hour, 4 hour value area low. There's your 786 of the Gartley. Obviously, there's your point of controls on the everything, right? We've now hit the 1 to 4 hour point of control. So, you know, that long I gave, it was, I think, 2 streams ago after we got the dump, that one's now pretty much, it's like you're starting to hit TP targets, right? These are areas where you just would consider TPing, right? So this is long I'm in. This is something I gave. Now, what else do we have that's, you know, on the bull side? Well, if we take a look at the weekly firstly, and we take a look at it in terms of your moving averages, right? If we take a look at the weekly moving average, that's your weekly 200. Okay. And I want you to consider that because the weekly 200 is extremely powerful. Every bear market low has happened somewhere around the weekly 200, right? Either at the weekly 200, right? Or at like a rate of reclaim of the weekly 200. So in this case, for now, what we've had is a SFP and a hold of the weekly 200 as well, right? That's good. Obviously, all these other SMAs and EMAs are killing over, but that could signify that we have just some more time, right? Some more time to build a bit more structure. That's what that could be signifying. But you know, these are key areas. This is not an area we'd be actively market shorting or so anything ludicrous like that, right? This just isn't where you would do it. Someone sent me a play. Someone sent where they were like shorting 60K or 61K with the invalidation at like 74K or something like this. I was thinking, what are you doing? Because you're entering a short at the low with the invalidation being like literally range highs. Like these are the kind of people you're trading against, right? This is not an area where you would short at the weekly 200. It's holding, right? Not only that, if we look at the 2 weeks, Obviously, in terms of the 2 weeks, we have a bit more down, and I'm really hoping we get that 2 week. Like, I'm really, really hoping. But the problem here is now, if you look at even higher, if you look at the monthly, that's the monthly 50 that you've tagged perfectly, and it's hold for now. So you've got the monthly 50 moving average, you've got the weekly 200 moving average, right? Lining up here, along with the S&P of the lows. So this was never a good area to short, right? Never ever a good area to short at moments like this. Does this automatically mean it has to be a bottom? No, because as we've seen previously, right, there can be some fluctuations about the monthly, but it could lead to like a nice narrative too. Right? If you look at this, for example, weekly S&P held and then just slowly grind it up over the coming months, right? We could get something like that. I'm hoping we don't. I'm hoping that on the 2 weeks we get that lower. Hoping that we get that on the 2 weeks, right? Come down, hit like that. This at least like yellow, but come hit this at some point, and then after that, like just send it from there, right? But I have to present not just one argument. I have to present both sides, right? So there is arguments here now to be extremely bullish, and there is like you could look at this in hindsight and be like, oh yeah, that was such an obvious bottom. We're areas like that now, right? So this is why I say is charts above everything else, above narrative, above noise, everything. If you have an actionable area where we did, that's why I gave you that long, right? You just go with it, okay? ETH reclaiming as well, key areas like that's the area ETH needs to reclaim that we were talking about, right? If we can get back above this box, beautiful underneath. You've held the 2.24, right, of the ABCD on Ethereum. Look, ABC, 2.24 held, hit and held. It doesn't need to go to any of these lower targets. It's hit its first target. Like, that could be it. Like, who knows? It probably isn't, but I'm saying it could be. So that's why areas like this are where we execute. It's always easy to look at something hit and in the future be like, oh, look at that. That looks so beautiful. And then not like, it was an obvious bottom. But obviously, we've seen how hard it is to pull triggers at moments like this, right? So this is an example of why, like, when you get the significant areas and you get something actionable, you take it. Because that is extremely, extremely actionable in Ethereum. Same reason why I get the Bitcoin play, right? Sol, same thing. As dusty as this was looking down over there, what we have over here now is you've reclaimed the S&P low. So if you now get a pullback that successfully retest this, right? So you get a daily pullback to 69.71 and it holds. You have a very, very easy area for a scalp to swing long. Very, very easy. That's if they give us one, right? They might not. So we'll have to see. But I would hope for like some sort of pullback here, retest, and then send it from there, right? So let's see. Like if you wanted to chase, you do something like this. I never recommend chasing. But if you wanted to chase, your invalidation is simply you stay spot long or whatever 1, 2x, 3x, whatever you use. It's mainly position size anyway. You stay long until you get invalidated. Invalidation would be this is lost. Simple. But as long as you're above this, like you could be playing that old range again. So yeah, we'll see. I would much prefer the retest though. But yeah, that's more the crypto side of things. Just something I wanted to go over real quick. Yo, what's up, guys? Sorry, I've not checked the chat at all. Nice to have you all in here. Yeah, bro. If you're about in the Midlands, just let me know, bro. We can link up when you're in the UK. The Lost Century. Okay, yeah, I'll take a look at that, girl. Thank you. Um, but yeah, like there's loads of opportunities still on stocks, like on crypto, obviously, right? Um, but let's see what happens today, especially since it's Monday. Monday's never going to give you the true play, not most of the time. Um, I still need to go over many of the things I have actually made it in the list anyway. But you can see we're starting to get some nice pullbacks. But yeah, I'm very, very interested in seeing how today closes. Yeah, don't let the news scare you. Moments like this, it's like if Baba holds here, I don't care what Trump says. It's more about what do the charts say? What are the actual players that are participating in trading this asset? What do they say? And right now they're saying I'm at 886, therefore it's probably worth me trying to take a bid, right? So here's one. This is the bat 0.886. There is the next one. Perfect. 124 is very close as well, but I'll just go and mark the 886 for now. So massive PRZ here for Baba, because if these are lost, the next one would be all the way here. Let's take it level by level. God knows. You see, that's like up until this point, even this high-low here would still be like a high-low compared to this. If we now started coming down to these, then you could argue the last high-low that led to the higher high has been taken out, right? Which isn't something you want weighing on you when you're trying to enter a play, because then technically you're trying to enter counter trend. So you would hope that this doesn't actually get hit, and that you simply just hold this PRZ and then reclaim the top, right? You would hope for something like this, basically, like that. But if they can hit this and then, smiley face it or something, maybe that'll be fine. But I hope we don't actually get this on Baba. I hope this is it. Like, we get structure here. Retest the range highs with an M shape. Go a bit deep. Stop anyone trying to maybe, like, break out long this or that long from here. Create some accumulative structure at the top where there was one supply, turn it into demand, and then send it. It would be perfect if you did it here. So I'll keep an eye on it on Baba. Oklo, beautiful. Easy to manage. So yeah, that's going to be it from me today, guys. Quick one. I'm going to be very busy this week. I'll go live if something crazy happens, but otherwise I'm going to be retreating to my house in Brighton and I like to just go there and just relax, like no phones and stuff for a bit, just chill. So, but if something, I have my laptop, so if something crazy happens, I can still go live for you guys. But apart from that, let me end this stream here, gang. Thank you very much for your time. Just about an hour, which is quite short for me, so hopefully no one's fallen asleep. And I will talk to you guys soon. Yeah, if something crazy happens, or if you have any questions, you want me to look at anything, just ping me in crypto chat or stocks chat relevantly, and I'll look at it when I can. But apart from that, I'll speak to you guys soon.